And I am now honored to introduce our 2025 commencement speaker, a Georgetown College alumnus, Mr. Knox Thames. Knox is an international human rights lawyer, advocate, and author who has dedicated his career to promoting human rights, defending religious minorities, and combating persecution. Originally from Richmond, Kentucky, he earned a Bachelor of Arts degree from Georgetown College in 1996 with majors in history and American studies. He received the Juris Doctorate from American University's Washington School of Law and a master's in international affairs from the School of International Service at American University. He has spent most of his career in public service, holding key positions advocating for freedom of religion or belief. I am so impressed by the way his service has reflected a genuinely nonpartisan commitment to what is just and right. Both the Obama administration and the first Trump administration appointed Knox as the Special Advisor for Religious Minorities in the Near East and South Central Asia at the State Department. Currently, Knox is Senior Fellow at Pepperdine University and directs its program on global faith and inclusive societies from the Washington, D.C. campus. The program pioneers innovative strategies to foster religious freedom, pluralism, and interfaith cooperation through policy engagement, cultural heritage, and storytelling. Knox is author of several books and innumerable articles, and he is as well an accomplished speaker. You should take note that the man speaking to you today has also spoken to the U.S. Congress, the United Nations, the European Parliament, the Organization of American States, the Foreign Service Institute, and U.S. military war colleges in the course of his work to combat oppression and promote freedom of religion or belief. Knox is an exemplar of how love and service can make a positive difference in the world, and I ask you to join me in welcoming home Mr. Knox Thames.
A few years ago, I found myself standing amidst the ruins of an ancient citadel in the city of Bukhara. Bukhara is one of the great cities of antiquity along the Silk Road. Historical figures like Alexander the Great and Genghis Khan have all marched through it. And as I stood there looking over the city, I couldn't help but wonder how this boy from Central Kentucky, made his way to Central Asia. When I last stood here 30 years ago, I could not have imagined the life and career I've been so blessed to have. And so on this graduation day, I'm going to share a bit about my background and work to help give you some ideas about a career that could be possible for you. I hope you can connect my journey with your story, and I'll offer some thoughts about how you can have a meaningful life centered on service. Now, as Dr. Allen said, I grew up just down the road in Richmond, the son of two wonderful parents. I actually wasn't planning to attend Georgetown College. There were two friends of mine who were scheduled to take a campus visit, and the lure of missing a day of school got me to join them. But once I was here, I knew Georgetown would be the place for me. And I loved Georgetown College. The 4 years here were just certainly transformational and life-shaping. Mentors like the late, great Doc Birdwhistle helped me and so many other young people sort through the big questions of life, of meaning and belonging. Through countless days I spent over at the Baptist Student Union in the basement of Hill Chapel, Doc challenged me to think of things beyond myself, about a life of service, of missions and charitable efforts. And his saying of "shine on" is remembered by so many. And it was through Doc during my senior year that I learned about an AmeriCorps program in Atlanta to resettle refugees with World Relief. And I had been developing an interest in international affairs thanks to classes I had taken with Dr. Talent and as well with Dr. Heiser, who encouraged me to study in Krakow, Poland during the summer before my senior year. Now that was 1995 and the Iron Curtain had just fell. So I had so many incredible adventures trying to navigate a foreign country and a foreign language without the benefit of a cell phone or GPS. So to put that in context for you, that meant when my parents dropped me off at the airport, they weren't sure if they'd ever see me again. And they're here, you can ask them. But that time in studying abroad and here at Georgetown and later refugee resettlement helped spark an interest in human rights. Those 2 years in Atlanta, they challenged my faith. For the first time in my life, I had friends from other countries, from different religions, who had suffered in unimaginable ways because they were from the wrong tribe or religion. And wrestling with those big questions about suffering was hard. But it did lead me to conclude that as a Christian, we're called to help those less fortunate than ourselves, that we should speak up for anyone facing persecution, regardless of faith or nationality. And as an American, with our blessings of liberty and prosperity, we also have a calling to be a force for good in the world, to assist others. And Atlanta was also great because I met my wife there. She attended another Baptist school you might have heard of, Baylor University. She has a similar providential story of how events led her to move from Texas to Atlanta. But from Atlanta, I wanted to equip myself to be an advocate. So I moved up to Washington, D.C., and I didn't know a soul. And I thought I would just be there for 3 years. But now, 27 years later, married with 2 high school boys, clearly there was a different path. Now, my diplomatic career in Washington has focused on advancing religious freedom for everybody, everywhere. For decades, it's been a bipartisan policy of the United States that we should advance human rights and religious freedom around the world. And I can tell you, it's been a diplomatic distinctive of our country that separates us from all others. And we've done this as a nation because it reflects us, it reflects who we are, it reflects our values. And I've always been proud when I've had the opportunity to sit behind a placard that said United States, whether it was in a foreign capital or the United Nations, knowing I was standing up for our values, pressing other governments to respect human rights. I've seen how engaging the world for good is in our long-term strategic interests. Yes, we pursue our other interests on the global stage, but our interests must be informed by our values. Otherwise, we're just spinning in the wind. I've seen how when we help people have access to basic needs like food, water, and medical care, when we advocate for those who are persecuted, they remember the United States helped them. They're less likely to be recruited by extremists or terrorists, thus making us safer, increasing our national security. I've seen how when we help other nations improve broken or corrupt legal systems, that can stop the push factors that leads to migration, and how also it can enhance our prosperity here at home by providing a stable business environment for American and Kentucky companies to export or invest. And in this competition with China, our commitment to human rights and religious freedom is a comparative advantage. Societies know that we believe in human dignity. Societies know that we believe in self-determination. Societies know that we believe in freedom of conscience. And societies know that the Chinese Communist Party does not. That in fact, they're opposed to it. America's power makes us strong, but there have been many strong countries in history. It's our values and how we use our power and influence to be a force for good that makes us exceptional. So I've been incredibly blessed to do work that aligns with my deepest beliefs and our values. Over my career, I've enjoyed successes and experienced setbacks. I've met heads of states and presidents, and I've dealt with the grief of friends suffering in other countries for their beliefs, even to the point of death. When I last stood here, the life I've lived was truly unimaginable. And so I hope my story encourages you to dream big, to step forward in faith, and to pursue a life of calling with purpose. That will make your life exceptional. Why? Well, God created us with a purpose in mind. Ephesians chapter 2, verse 10 says, "For we are God's masterpiece. He created us anew in Christ Jesus so that we can do good things He planned for us long ago." So despite our different ages, backgrounds, and circumstances, no one is here by chance. We are made with a purpose, designed by the Creator of all things as His handiwork, His masterpiece. And He's been planning for you to do good things at this time. Now, as we know, much of American culture is focused on comfort, ease, and enjoyment. These aren't bad things as long as they're not ultimate things. But for many, it seems that the supreme goal of life is to retire from it. What a shame. You have been blessed beyond measure to live in the United States of America in the 21st century. I know. I've visited many of the broken places of this world. And while we have our challenges here at home and partisanship is at fever pitch, I can tell you that a bad day in America beats a good day just about anywhere else in the world. That thought was recently reinforced with me. I met a gentleman, an older gentleman, who immigrated here decades ago as a young man. Now naturalized, he shared when he first arrived here from an impoverished background, he thought the American dream was to earn money and to buy a washing machine. Comforts. But now, thanks to the benefit of age and reflection, he understands that the American dream is the right to pursue your dreams. Countries like China and Russia, they're afraid to let their people dream. We have the opportunity to dream dreams for a better world. So listen to those quiet dreams in your heart. They could be placed there by God. That nagging concern about a broken part of your world, that there could be divine potential there. God has placed us here at this moment for a reason. Now, realizing our potential takes effort. One of my favorite statues in Washington, D.C. is just off the National Mall. You probably haven't noticed it. It literally sits in the shadow of the Lincoln Memorial on a small roundabout. It commemorates a Swedish engineer named John Ericsson, who's been forgotten to history. But in his day, he had ignited a naval revolution by designing the modern propeller and designing the USS Monitor, the ship that is credited with ensuring Union naval supremacy during the Civil War. Now, the statue shows Ericsson sitting deep in thought, and 3 avatars stand over him. Now, a quick aside, these are not the avatars from the movie, the tall blue people, or the 4 cartoon characters on Nickelodeon. These are rather figures embodying virtues: vision, labor, and adventure. Ericsson lived these, using his God-given gifts to envision things deemed impossible, applying his labor to bring them to fruition, and having an adventurous spirit to travel the oceans to come to the United States. Vision, labor, and adventure were the keys to his success. Now, you might be thinking, well, I'm not Swedish, or that was a long time ago, but we needn't look too much further from here to be inspired. Have you heard about the 2 brothers across the river in Ohio, the bicycle engineers, the Wright brothers? They changed the world by having a vision for something that was impossible in their day, human-powered flight. They applied their labors, and man, did they have a spirit of adventure. Can you imagine climbing onto that little rickety biplane and seeing if it would work? And also imagine what else they could accomplish if they'd had a Georgetown College education. So take advantage of where you are. 21st century America, our world needs points of light. We need bridge builders willing to extend a hand of friendship across lines of faith, politics, and race. We don't have to agree on everything, but left, right, and center can agree to disagree agreeably, and then we can agree to stand together in defense of those rights. So if you give yourself to these worthy things, you'll certainly run counter to popular culture. Many choose material gain as the principal goal of life, but we all instinctively know that such a life would be boring, a movie no one would watch. I mean, we know that great movies are ones where the central character must overcome, and it's how he or she chooses to overcome the challenges that makes the movie interesting, that makes it compelling. You're the star of your movie. You're the star of your story. Will you have the courage to be the hero? Or will you be an extra or some NPC standing in the background of others? Every great movie has a hero who cares for others, who steps forward, who lives sacrificially, who works on issues larger than themselves, who is foolish enough to believe they can make a difference, who invests in causes without any promise of success, who takes risks and risks much. And with risk comes failure. Failure is a part of every story, especially for those reaching high. But to quote a once popular philosopher, it's not winning or losing, it's winning or learning. And may John Calipari rest in peace in Fayetteville. When failure comes, and it will you be overcome by disappointment, or will you overcome the challenge? Don't choose passivity and retreat. Will it be hard? Absolutely, but lean in and make your movie exciting. There's a practical side to this too. Purpose brings contentment despite inviting disappointment. The Global Flourishing Study, a recently released multi-year research initiative by Baylor, Harvard, and Gallup, announced its survey findings from over 200,000 participants across 22 countries. And this is interesting. What they found that is nearly universal is individual flourishing is strongly associated with a purpose in life to promote the common good in all circumstances and attending a faith community. In other words, we need to scroll less, and I'm preaching to myself there. When we look beyond ourselves, we'll find deeper happiness. We will flourish if we can look up from our phones and set our gaze on higher things that can guide and inspire, and we can also make a difference in others' lives. Now, we've seen powerful examples of that kind of commitment right here at Georgetown College. I have to say, Dr. Allen's faithful and selfless leadership in helping retire Georgetown's debt was extraordinary. Her generosity inspired others to step up and give as well. And Dr. Allen, on behalf of all alumni, past, present, and future, thank you so much for what you did. Yes, absolutely. And like that, no one succeeds alone. While you put in the hard work to graduate, you've benefited from a loving Georgetown College community. Of course, the faculty and staff, but also the maintenance team, the kitchen, the janitors who've all made your experience. And of course, your parents and grandparents and other family members who are here today to celebrate your journey into adulthood. So future graduates, let's give them a round of applause to thank your family for supporting you in these 4 years. So now, friends, your movie is about to start. The opening music has begun. In a few moments, you, the star of your movie, will come to this stage, and we'll all wonder, as you look out on family and friends, what will you do? Where will you go? The curtain is rising on the movie of your life, and only you can make it a great story. What you do with your life matters. You can make a difference whether you end up living in the capital of Kentucky or the capital of the United States, London, England, or London, Kentucky, Paris or Paris, Athens or Athens, Versailles or Versailles, Beijing or Beaver Dam, Salt Lake or Paint Lick. Isn't Kentucky great? I just love the state. But God wants to do big things through you if you'll let him, whether it's to save the world or to save the world around you in your neighborhood. So very soon we'll all be fellow graduates, and as you walk across this stage, guided by the values instilled in you here, have an expansive vision of your life for a better world. Labor hard in the service of others. Have an adventure, stepping forward every day as an act of faith. Always be joyful. Never stop praying. Be thankful in all circumstances. And may those values echo through your life, shaping not only your story, but the stories of all those around you. Bring hope where it is needed. Be light in the darkness. God bless you all. Congratulations, and shine on.